On today's agenda, I decided about an hour ago that the weather was just perfect for some management burns here on the farm. On the farm here, we've got two purposes behind our burning that we do here. You can see these field edges. They've got some nice tall warm season grass along the edge. If you burn those field edges, that actually works really good to control the sprouts along those field edges. So that's one of the reasons we're going to hit that strip right there. And then up here we have some warm season grass, just a strip along the edge of the woods. And it's been 2 or 3 years since that's been burned, and we're going to burn that to try to control the sprouts and improve it for the wildlife. We've got everything we need today. We've got a fire wand. Now it would be better, to use a drip torch. I understand that, but this is a lot cheaper than a drip torch, being that all my money is being taken and given to people to pay off their student loans. Can't afford all those nice luxuries. We've got some fire rakes. Jed, show the folks the fire rakes, and then you can see the backpack sprayer in the back of the Jeep there. And the way I do these burns, that will be more than enough to keep things under control here. You can see here that we're along a field it's got a little bit of wheat coming up in it, and it's been ripped, so there's some soil there. We had rain just a couple days ago, so there's really no risk of this fire going anywhere. We have already called the sheriff's department though to notify them, just in case the neighbors see it and think the world's burning down. We've had that happen before, or people that drive by more so. So we don't need the fire department to show up here and think they need to help. But what we're going to do though, like I said, we're going to hit this warm season grass. We've got another about 7 or 8 acres on the other side that needs to be burned. And the conditions are just perfect. There is a really light northwest wind, nice and sunny, that sun, and we've had a little bit of a breeze to dry things out during the day. So just perfect, in my opinion, just about perfect burning conditions, especially to keep it safe for a smaller crew like what we have today. We actually do want the fire to creep into the woods on the other side of that warm season grass. That will control the brush growth or the tree growth on the edge, because we really don't want the woods expanding at this point. So it'll control that tree growth, as well as if that creeps into the woods, that just is very beneficial for the wildlife species. Then we also try to do our burns early, because in the past, when we've done later burns, like the very end of March or the first part of April, we end up killing a lot of turtles or little bunny rabbits, and I just don't like to do that. I guess I got a soft heart when it comes to the outdoor critters. But yeah, we try to get most of our burns done here in the end of February or the first part of March. We feel is the optimum time to do these burns here in southeast Missouri. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to just light the fire on the uphill side, and the wind is blowing to our left here as you're looking, what little breeze there is. But we're just going to let this fire creep down the hill, and if it's not moving fast enough, I might go down in the woods and go ahead and light the fire down there and let a head fire creep up. But right now we're just going to let that backfire creep back down that hill, because the backfire is actually much more effective, or can be much more effective at controlling the sprout growth, because it's a slower burn and it will heat up those stems in those small trees to a much higher temperature and hopefully kill those. So let's get started.
Okay, that burn over there is pretty much done. He's finishing up that. It goes over the hill a little bit over there, but we're gonna do that. It's not really going to the woods as well as we'd like. Since we have that rain, it pretty much puts itself out, as you can see right here. it's not going too well as far as getting in the woods, but at least we'll have the warm season grass burned off and some of the sprouts killed that are growing out into the field.
We try to burn all of our warm season grass on a 3-year rotation. That gives various stages of plant growth, and then also if you let that duff build up for 2 years, it provides a hotter fire that will do a more effective job of killing the sprouts that might be in the along the edge of the field or be encroaching into the field itself. So right here we're just making sure that it doesn't creep across into this patch of warm season grass, because that's on the slate for 2 years from now. That was just burned last spring, but we do want to keep this field edge and this road, we want to keep the trees from encroaching out here too much. So a couple of things to think about when you're doing these burns. You always want to make sure that your clothes are flame resistant, and that would be leather gloves, leather boots, and cotton pants and shirt and jacket. But as long as everything's cotton and leather, you should be good to go, as long as it's not a frayed cotton, because that kind of cotton's scared of the fire.
Okay, didn't realize Jed was watching. We didn't realize that there's a little white oak back there. It's right, oh, I can't really, well, I can use this. It's right there.
Heat on it already, but I think we can.
But yeah, this was some firewood that wasn't gathered yet that caught fire, so we're gonna try to put that out and take care of that before it kills our little white oak. We like the little thing, but we're gonna go down there and actually light a backfire because we have a blind over there that we don't want to burn up, and I'm gonna try to get this out so we can go on to the next fire.
This is the next field that we're going to burn here. We've got about 7 or 8 acres here, and you can see there's some woody growth, fairly significant woody growth starting in this field. So we've let this field go for I think 2 years now. Hopefully this fire will get nice and hot and knock that woody growth back. And I mentioned earlier about the purpose of these burns for wildlife management. One of the things we really like to focus on our farm here are turkey and quail. And we don't even actually hunt quail, but we just like having the little birds around. So if you take a look at this, imagine yourself as, a little 1.5 inch tall quail hatchling. How would you navigate through this? And the fact is, you just simply couldn't. This is not good habitat for a quail raising their brood. So what we actually want to do with this fire is open up the ground, and once this fire is burned through, these clump grasses will start growing back, and by the time those quail are hatching their first brood towards the end of May, we'll have a nice 1.5 foot of growth here, nice lush green growth. There'll be bugs everywhere for those little quail to eat, and they won't have any trouble navigating through all this thick old duff. So that is one of the main reasons that we do these burns. And it's the same thing with turkey too. I mean, even though a turkey poult is a little bit bigger when they hatch out, this would still be hard for them to navigate through. So while this is excellent nesting habitat, it is not good for brood rearing habitat when those birds are little. In those cases, we want, like I said, that new growth with bare dirt, I say bare dirt, there'll be bare dirt on the bottom, but you'll have this growth overhead, that new growth, protecting those young birds from the eyes of the hawks and the other predators that are out there. So that is our goal, and one of our goals in conducting these burns. You can actually see, we were hunting this for rabbits a few days ago, and over in the center here we saw several quail roost spots. And we'll go take a look at those and then step out and light the fire and let her go. Here you can see one of these quail roosting spots, and you know it's that because you'll have this circle. The quail will face outward in a circle as they roost at night. And yes, they do roost on the ground at night. And the reason they roost in a circle, way to avoid all of them getting eaten by the predators. If a predator were to come up here and disturb these birds at night, they would scatter in all different directions, and that would create enough confusion to the predator that it may not get any, or maybe just one of the quail. So just a survival technique that they use when they are roosting. And on this hillside, there were quite a few quail roosting spots. A lot of times if you find an area where they like to roost, they'll use that time after time after time. And I mentioned, or I think I alluded to it earlier, but whenever you do these burns on your property, you want to rotate through it. You know, about on a 3-year rotation is good. That gives a diverse types of habitat for the quail. Because while this is not good for brood rearing, it is pretty good for nesting. So if those birds are able to nest here and then take those little hatchlings to an area that's been burned for brood rearing, that's the ideal situation. So we're going to go ahead and step out of the grass here, light it on fire, and hopefully get a good nice burn all the way down to that creek line that you can see there. We're actually not even going to light along the creek. We're just going to let that fire just creep all the way down to the creek, because we've gotten quite a bit of woody encroachment coming into the field. And you can also see that spot over there. It's getting quite a handful of willows in there, hoping to knock those back with a nice hot fire this evening. One of the safety precautions that we take when conducting these burns is that I like to do these fires in the evening, really after 3 o'clock. And the reason for that, as it gets cooler, the air gets more damp, and you're much less likely to have spot over fires. Essentially, the fires will almost put themselves out as it gets later and later into the evening. This is what we're looking for right here. You can see some blistering on the bark of this little sprout here. Now the thing is, we're not seeing as much blistering as I would have liked, but we can go over here and you can actually see there's a little bit of blistering right here, and it looks like the sap actually got boiled out of these sprouts a little bit. So hopefully that got hot enough to kill these. There are still going. There are some areas that definitely the sprouts are not getting killed. There just wasn't enough fuel. The sprouts had become so large, there wasn't the grass duff underneath it to generate enough heat to kill the sprouts. So we'll have to go through here with some chemical later on, maybe run the bush hog through it to knock them back to the ground, and then hit them with some chemical about in July. Another issue we have in our warm season grasses here is the problem with the Sericea lespedeza, and that's one of those things. It's a non-native, very invasive. It takes over fairly quickly, and about the only way to manage that is with chemical. Fire doesn't really do anything from it. It'll come back from the roots, and the seeds that get in the ground, they're pretty much tolerant of the fire. Right now we're headed out to where we did the first burn to make sure there's nothing out of control. There's still a little bit of smoke coming up in that little strip of woods, but not too worried about it because it's woods between two fields. So we're okay with it burning any of the leaf litter in those little strips of woods. No real risk of it getting out of control. Especially as the sun's going down here, the humidity levels are really increasing. There's a little bit still going, but can't really go anywhere. So we We do have a down tree right here, or a rotting tree that caught fire, but really no worries because once again, field over there, green field there, the fire's burned all the way around it. A little bit of interesting history though behind this tree. The reason this is down is because it used to be up there. And several years ago, probably now almost 8 years ago, 10 years ago, we were burning up here and we had a spot over catch really high up in the tree. I don't know if it was a mouse nest or a bird's nest, but the tree was hollow and it actually started up the center of the tree, and I had to cut that tree down because there were high winds forecast and I didn't want any of the embers making it across the creek and burning half of the next county. So that was an interesting little experience. But you can see down here though, this fire has crept real nicely through the leaf litter. It's not a complete burn, but that's fine.
So that'll end it for this video. We have an old video of the tree falling, Dad cutting the tree and falling down. I'm gonna try to look that up and post it with this video. But if you want any more information on how to do these type of burns and stuff, you need to check out Growing Deer TV and Grant Wood's crew. They do a lot more wildlife management and stuff, and they have a lot of videos on the fires and how to use them and the different types of fires. But that'll wrap this video up. If you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
There it goes.